the Silent Hill game that should have been remade first. Personally, I don't think Konami should have chosen Silent Hill 2 as Silent Hill's first remake and real revival in the series. And I know that people are already pissed at me for saying such blasphemous things. Okay, I get it. I do. Just hear me out. For one thing, Silent Hill 2 is so sacred to people and is so heavily regarded as a horror masterpiece, not only in the franchise itself, but in the world of horror as a whole. Not even just video games. It transcends beyond just a game for people. Any true fan of all things horror have either played or watched someone played, or even at least heard of Silent Hill, specifically number 2. And for great reasons. It's a great game, it's got great music, gameplay, at least as far as survival horror games is concerned, atmosphere, great story, characters, and just overall a feeling of dread and terror as you play the game. You feel uneasy and are paranoid while playing it. It really scratches all the itches of what you want from a horror game. But with that said, I think Silent Hill 2 is way overrated in my opinion, and I don't think it needs a remake anyway. Not only because the game is still beautiful and looks amazing, it doesn't really need to be remade at all. Not that I mind it being remade, of course I'm still gonna get it, play it, and love it. Just obviously the original's probably gonna be better. But also because it's so highly cherished and beloved by many that any little mistake or change nobody likes is just gonna piss people off. I mean, just go look at the comments on the trailers for the game. Everyone nitpicks every little thing, and that's because it was a masterpiece to everyone that didn't need to be so drastically different. Just look at these graphics. Look how awful they are. Just kidding. This is what they look like now. Now compare this to this. As you can see, Silent Hill 2 looks so good to this day. It is still aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Now obviously, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because personally, modern horror games are at an immediate scare factor disadvantage. Just take the Dead Space 1 remake. Amazing game. Great remake. Save for a few minor changes. Looking at you, military suit, and the original suit, and new voice actors besides Isaac, and some story changes. Other than that, amazing upgrade to the original. Mechanics, and it's just as scary as when it comes to pretty much everything else but models. Just look at an old Necromorph design compared to the new ones. Huge drop off when it comes to being terrified. Modern graphics just don't understand how to make new horror models in modern games, and don't have that older texture style. Granted, yes, it was more of a limitation to the hardware at the time, fewer polygons, bits, etc., yada yada. I just feel those limitations pushed developers to get creative on how they went about creating horror aesthetics and textures. 2009 and below horror game graphics just look way more disturbing, uncanny, and actually terrifying. Hell, even going back to games like Clock Tower from 1995, and Alone in the Dark from 1992, The Thing 2002, something about these older graphics just look way more horrifying than modern art styles. Now, it's starting to sound like I'm contradicting myself or praising old, outdated graphics on a video talking about how a game needs to be updated and remade, which I am, to a point, but I also am a man of somewhat reason, and even I am not gonna be blinded by nostalgic goggles and hate everything and anything because it's not the original version, 1-to-1, pixel to pixel. But looking at Silent Hill 1 now, the game that started it all needs love. It needs to be played by modern day gamers, the type that don't even know what a PS1 is and thought Sony just started with the 4. I'm a rare breed of gamer. I'll enjoy the shit out of playing old games on old, original hardware, and I'll love it. But I know that's not most people, and I understand that old games, yes, can be pretty horrible to play compared to new games. Even though I know Silent Hill 1 being remade will make it go from The Exorcist to The Purge when it comes to horror, I still have the original and can play it, and would love the games that started it all to be played and appreciated by people today that never got to play it. I'm so sick of everyone acting like Silent Hill 2 is the best one. It is amazing, but it is way, way overrated, and when it comes to enemies, I don't find any of the monsters really all that scary. besides a few, Big Daddy, a couple of them are pretty creepy, but the main, lion figure and the Barbie doll legs are just kind of eh. Even the bugs don't look as scary as the Silent Hill 1 bugs. Silent Hill 2 has great atmosphere and environments that make it really terrifying, but personally I'd argue it has the weakest enemy design when it comes to actually scaring me. Even Downpour has better enemy designs, and that game isn't really scary. So, too long-didn't read to summarize, Silent Hill 1 deserves to be remade. It's way outdated with its graphics and gameplay compared to all the other Silent Hill games, and is the only game that did not age well in comparison.